Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of the Intelligent Moron with Alex Silva. I had a fantastic day yesterday. Unbelievable. Only reason that it was unbelievable is because my package arrived. That could literally make somebody's day infinitely better. My day was fine. It was a good day, but it was even elevated to a great day simply because my package had arrived. I ordered two hats from New Era, both Rams hats, for some, NFL season drip, NFL Rams merch, headwear. I have a couple t-shirts. I have a long sleeve shirt and I have a crew neck sweatshirt. But I've always wanted a hat to go with that stuff. That way I can be pretty kitted out when it's football season time. And I ordered it from New Era and I got like a discount. By the time I ordered it, it was like $50-some. It wasn't that much money for two hats. Really good, nice hats. Both at like $40 a piece, typically. But I got both for like $52, and that's with shipping and taxes. So I got a pretty good deal. And you know how you, when you're shopping online, and it's not from like any like, it's not from like Amazon, right? It'll ask you if you want express shipping, basic 7 to 10 business day shipping, or whatever. Well, I chose 7 to 10 business days. And I was like, you know what? Saving a ton of money on this. It's fine. Got a good deal, good discount. I'm happy while I'm ordering it. And I was just like, you know what? I'll take the 7 to 10 business days for arrival, and I'll be fine. Man, once a week had gone by, and then nothing came, and I was waiting even longer. My package got delayed a couple times. I was just like, man, express shipping was only $7. Why did I not just pay $7 for it to get here sooner? It was really a first world problem, when you want something shipped to your house, which in reality for today's life is something that is done every single day. Somebody has something shipped to their house via the mail or UPS or something like that. It's a innovation of the 21st century to have things shipped to your doorstep. You open the door, ding dong, open the door. There's your package. You don't have to go anywhere. The inconvenience is through the roof. You just order it and then it comes to your house. And you don't got to lift a finger. But for some reason, whenever we get hit with the delays, the setbacks, the minor inconveniences, it throws everything off. I was expecting it to come on the 14th. That's what it told me. That's what it was saying. And then on the 13th came around, and then it got delayed to the 18th. But it actually came on the 17th, so I was, a little bit happy about that. I wasn't completely sad. I was for a moment, but then I was like, oh, it's better than what it told me. Thank God. But what a time to be alive. Where shipping delays and setbacks can almost be world-shattering, mood-destroying, happiness-stealing events that are so minor that no one should ever be overreacting to any of these in the first place, is crazy. I think that, we have been so conditioned in the past like 10 years, maybe even a little bit more than that, being like Amazon customers, Amazon users, Amazon Prime, and in that matter, that we have gotten so used to, at least for me, because I have Amazon Prime. Now, this is not like I'm not trying to simp for Amazon Prime. I'm not trying to promote Amazon Prime. No free ads. But I am a happy Amazon Prime user, customer, member, whatever you want to call it. I gotta admit, when I order stuff on Amazon Prime, that badass 2-day shipping, free 2-day shipping, you get pretty damn spoiled. And then when you order from another somewhere else where they don't have free 2-day shipping, where the shipping costs extra, you have to admit, I have to admit, I feel like, almost like, why would it take this long to send me a hat when Amazon can do it within 2 days? Sometimes they can get it to you in 1 day, depending on what you order and what time you order it at. So, it just shows you how spoiled I am, spoiled we are, how much we are, have gotten so used to this 2-day shipping thing, And I feel like we are in the age now where ordering online and getting packages delivered has never been higher than it is today, And I'm also I'll be honest, have you ever met people that are civilized people, members of society, full-time job people that don't have Amazon Prime? Have you ever met some of these people? I have. In fact, I have one of my friends currently does not have Amazon Prime. Doesn't have it. If you know who you are, I know who you are. I mean, you know who I'm talking about. Does not have Amazon Prime. Don't understand how he goes about his life and living in society and not being in a life, living in a world where you can get items from Amazon delivered to your house within 2 days. He legitimately does not have Amazon Prime. And I just think to myself, like, Amazon Prime is like something like almost every American has, in a way. I have it. My sister has it. Other people in my family have it. Like, we all have Amazon Prime one way or another. Whether you do annually payment or monthly payments, everybody pretty much has Amazon Prime because it's for shopping. It's like almost essential if you want to do online shopping and you don't want to wait 7 to 10 business days. Amazon Prime is like a no-brainer, I guess if you don't really shop online that much. But I don't know, like, that many people in this country that don't do that don't do it quite frequently. I do it here from time to time. I online shop maybe a few times a month. Now, I want to do it more because it's, I've heard people say this in the past, that it's addicting. And at first I was like, how could that be addicting? It's just shopping. I'm not much of a shopper myself, but believe me, when I say, like, you have the privilege to get items that you desperately want or even need, and you can get those within 2 days, sometimes even 1, it becomes very, very, very addictive. In a way, it's like I have not just for me, not in the aspect of, ooh, I'm buying things. Not in the sense of spending money. In the sense of, oh, I have so much power, I could get this by Friday. and it won't cost me extra. You already kind of forget about the price and what you're spending when you shop online anyway. At least I kind of do. When I'm shopping online, for things that I want, and I'm like, ooh, look at this. I can get this by this day, and it'll be just in time for this event or for this thing that I got going on. It'll be perfect. And then for me, I always kind of like jump from app to app. Like I'll buy something on Amazon, kind of see something that I want on Amazon and look other places where they might have either deals, bundles, discounts, and I find it on another app. And then I see other things on another app, and I'll go to different apps to find discounted things on even more apps. It's weird, right? It's strange. But then again, it's for me kind of self-fulfilling. And listen, we are a materialistic species in a materialistic culture, in a materialistic society. Now, those are three words that you could all describe as one thing: people. People are just materialistic beings. Hey, there's another word that could describe each and every one of those three words that I just said, right? I mean, it's genius. Online shopping is absolutely genius. It is, in a way, I mean, when you go shopping in a mall and you just run through your credit card and you just like, boom, boom, want this, that, swipe, insert, tap, whatever. It just kind of, you forget, and the bill piles up and you got to make that payment. Online shopping is just the same thing, a same exact thing, if not even more convenient, even easier, and even more addictive. It's wild. It's insane. I mean, but I love it. I feel like I'm in control, that I'm in power when I'm able to online shop that much. And I almost have to stop myself, And I'm not saying that I do that all the time. Like I said, maybe a couple times a month. But that's about it. When I was buying those hats a couple weeks ago, I looked at not just New Era, but I went to NFL Shop, Fanatics. I was looking at Amazon, see if anything anywhere else had like a deal or something, all right, or some kind of like offer, discount, something, code. They always have that. If you are like me and you like sports and you like repping your team's, apparel, then that NFL, MLB, NBA, whatever, their official shops have like flash sales and deals on certain items, total amount. Like if you spend like this much, you get this much of it knocked off, or free, like, express shipping or something like that. Those happen every single day on those websites. Every time I log in, every time I sign on, every time I just look and browse, I see one sale or another, or one deal or another. Pretty much inevitable at this point, because it is just a very, very addictive thing. And it's a thing that we like the most, which is items and things and materials, right? So when I am like in that mode to just shop and shop, it's almost like it's unstoppable. And it brings me to my next point, where I went through FedEx to get my hats. And let me tell you, man, I think that FedEx is one of the most unreliable delivery services of all time. You remember how I said my package was delayed? That has only happened to me with FedEx. Now with the Postal Service, now with UPS, Amazon, whatever. Like, it's only with FedEx where I get these delays. And honestly, like, I don't understand how FedEx is still like thriving. if they're not thriving, how they're still even in business. I mean, not many things that I buy are even through FedEx. So that tells me that, hey, y'all ain't working, right? So how the hell are y'all in business if no service that I use, or rare services that I even use, are even using your delivery service to deliver their products to their customers? It just doesn't make any sense. And every time I do get you guys, with luck of the draw, because I don't know when I'm placing my order that's going to be delivered through FedEx up until I get the email that's confirmation, like, it's delivered here, and it gives you like a tracking number that you could tap on or click on, and it takes you to a link. Once I tap that link, I'm like, oh shoot, let's see where it's at, and it said FedEx. I'm like, oh my god, I ain't gonna get this for a while. I don't know. I just feel like FedEx has never ever been, a good delivery service. There was a time where I thought that they might be getting bigger than UPS. This is probably back in the 2000s, 4 and 5, right? Where I kind of noticed, like, hey, I'm seeing a lot of these, and I was a young guy at that age, at that year. I was like maybe 11, and I just, because I knew people who worked for UPS and how they were saying, oh, we're the best, yeah, we're the best, and then FedEx was kind of like the cooler, hipper, delivery service, and they were getting more commercials, and I saw their trucks more often. And I was like, whoa, hold on. FedEx has a cool, like, first of all, the name's kind of cool with the arrow between the E and the X in FedEx, kind of means like, move forward, get going, delivering, fast pace, nonstop. That's what you kind of, thought of when you would see that arrow between the E and the X, and then you just kind of think that, oh, this company's is kind of hip, cooler, newer, people are using it more. This is probably going to take over, UPS and maybe even the Postal Service. Now, I'm no expert on, delivery services and companies or economics or profits or quarterly earnings and stocks and all that stuff, but it seems like to me that FedEx is not nearly what they used to be as what they were. They don't seem as successful or to be thriving as much as they used to be back in the early to middle 2000s, even like maybe early 2010s. Seems to have been reclaimed by UPS and the Postal Service. Now, granted, I don't really think that a lot of my items that I get are even, well, I would say that, the majority of the stuff that I order is usually delivered by UPS, following the Postal Service and following FedEx, for the most part. So I would assume that FedEx is probably not doing as hot as they thought that they would, 15 years ago, 20 years ago, So yeah, I mean, if you're going to be ordering things from like I said, New Era, maybe Fanatics, something like that, you might be getting a FedEx truck to deliver your package. In that case, you might be planned to wait a little bit longer than you might have thought. At least in my experiences with their estimates on when my package will arrive, it's usually for me later than expected. Which is, a bummer, like I said. But then again, it's a minor, inconvenience, right? It's minor. It really is minor. But don't get it twisted. Once it gets to your house, it is like Christmas Day. I remember it was yesterday when my package came. I was checking my email, and I have it pinned to the top of my email where it notifies me where my package is at all times. And I was clicking it, and I saw that the location of my package was in the town that I live, and I was like, oh, sweet heavens, today's the day. Couple hours later, I get the notification that it's been delivered. You know how you get the notification and now it comes with a picture right outside your door, and you're like, oh yeah, it just feels like Christmas, and then you feel happier, you're excited, you have purpose. I mean, not like you shouldn't have purpose every day. You're alive, of course you have purpose, but it's just that little extra purpose, like, oh, I cannot wait to get home and try on my merch. And you know, as a person who does online shopping, I don't normally shop clothing. Now, hats are a part of clothing. And luckily, the hats that I got were just like one size fits most, which means like they were just like adjustable. So I knew like I didn't have to pick a specific size. And both of the hats that I got were able to fit my dome, which was always a good sign. Moving on, though. You know, we live in 2024 where it seems like every single person that has ever existed, and not just existed like me and you, like regular Joe Schmoes like me and you, but also people who have had a boost and a propulsion into fame, have one thing in common. Like, I have one thing in common, and I'm going to say what it is, or who I have what in common with, and you'll probably be able to guess it, but I'm going to just kind of give you a question right now. What do me and Joe Rogan, what do we have in common? Well, we're not bald. I have hair. I'm not an MMA fighter. I'm not a stand-up comedian. You know what it is? We're podcasters. Me and Joe Rogan have that one thing in common. We both have a podcast. His is the Joe Rogan Experience. Mine is Intelligent Moron with Alex Silva. New episodes every Thursday. We have that in common. So, in a way, even though I'm not even near him in the spectrum of fame or celebrityism or influence or outreach, or exposure, we have that in common. Me and Joe have that in common. We share that. We've been sharing that, for me at least, for like the past 6 years doing podcasting. You know, we share that in common. And that's like one thing that you can kind of pinpoint where I am sort of on the same level, sort of, not even close really, but sort of on the same level with a famous person, with probably the biggest podcast in the world. Who else is a part of that? Well, you'd be surprised, but I and the Tuah girl, you know, are pretty similar. Now, if you don't know the Tuah girl, I mean, her name is Haley Welch, and she also, like me, has a podcast. Now, I haven't listened to it, but I have seen that it is a thing. It exists. She has episodes. I haven't listened to it. But isn't that kind of crazy? That I live in a world where me, the Tuah girl, and Joe Rogan are all, in a way, we all share, you know, this common thing where we have a podcast. Now, of course, there are so many podcasts out there. You know, the number one podcast, mine, the number two, Joe Rogan's, and then I don't know where Haley Welch's would land. By the way, clever name for hers was Talk Tuah. You know, not bad. Not bad at all. Funny play on words. Totally works. By the way, the way she just exploded in fame is just insane to me. She said a couple things when she was intoxicated, Tuah, and it erupted like a rocket, just unstoppable. It was crazy to watch in person because Hawk Tuah was trending like one of the most like fastest trending topics, words that I've ever seen in this year. I mean, like it catapulted into, the culture, and I just could not believe how quick it just was able to catch on with everybody, on X, Instagram, TikTok, wherever. It legit like spread like wildfire. Like, you really could not stop it either. It was like unstoppable. But yeah, me and her essentially have a one thing in common. We both have podcasts. Now, I did not expect her to go into podcasting. I just thought that maybe she would just be, on social media like TikTok or whatever, making videos and stuff like that. But no, she has a YouTube channel, I think. Yeah, the Talk Tuah. She has an Instagram account, she has TikTok, and she has like a lot of viewership on all that stuff. Really, I could not believe like how much she does now, in terms of exposure and what she's involved now. Just pretty insane. I mean, right now I am on what is it? Apple Podcasts. I'm trying to see where she lands in the top shows in, I guess, the world, America. I'm not even sure. So I am not, well, there we go. 61. She is number 61 and has 2 episodes out. And, I mean, she's at a 3.4 star rating. Now, of course, she's probably going to have a lot of haters and stuff like that. And, people who are jealous of her fame. I understand that. I totally, see why somebody would not be that much of a fan of her. I mean, the fame that she got was, I'm not going to say it wasn't earned, but it definitely seems like, wow, 2 words while you're intoxicated and you get that much fame and money. I mean, let's be clear, guys. Like, she did not just get fame, but she got rich. I don't even know how people get rich off of social media stuff or, anything like that. Like, I don't understand how people would be able to earn a living on Instagram. Maybe because of the advertisers on there and like what, comes before your videos, I guess. But it just doesn't make any sense how like you could get that much money on Instagram. It doesn't make any sense. Podcasts kind of make sense because you have a lot of podcasters have sponsors, and they usually do ad reads for that sponsor in their episodes, and they're able to make a living off of that. And that's how they get paid, is advertisers. In this beautiful country of America, United States of America, that is allowed. And that's the beauty of it. Now, do I wish that I could get a sponsor? Absolutely. Absolutely. Of course, I would always want, the right sponsor for me, the right sponsor for the show. Maybe have to do something outlandish. Maybe I should go out and get plastered. Have somebody to record, me saying something outlandish and stupid, witty, and kind of funny. Little play on words, maybe. And then I'll gain some fame. And then I'll be rich. Like Miss Welch over here. I mean, seems like, a gold mine. Seems doable. Seems like, I just got to, be in the moment. Play it out. And see what I can come up with, right? But then again, those things don't happen all that often. The Hawk Tuah girl is once in, like, Jesus Christ, There hasn't been like somebody that has said something like that silly, outrageous, and witty while they're intoxicated, and it literally like stick with them for this long, and it pretty much touches every corner of the nation like this. I mean, it probably can never be done again. Like the way that this woman has gained fame this quickly, and the trajectory, and how she's still just going up and up and up, will probably never be replicated ever again in the history of the internet. I just don't think it could ever be. Seems like a perfect storm, you know? Which, I mean, is, fine. It's totally fine. It all just like, now I guess, we would just have to see how she handles all of it, which I'm sure she's going to be fine. I mean, I get it. The fame's going to be, probably a lot. I'm sure her life has completely changed. And she's like, wow, I'm pretty much a celebrity now. Like, I'm everywhere. People know who I am. That has to be nerve-wracking, And now she's on a podcast. Now, I don't think that, well, I don't know if I don't think, but I don't know how good her podcast will be. Could it be? Is she just saying Hawk Tuah the entire episode? Is she going to have guests? What's going to go? Is it going to be a solo show like mine where I just riffed and talk shit? I don't know. There's already so many podcasts out there. It almost kind of seems like there's so many podcasts, so many shows, so much content out there that it is almost like impossible for you to find someone, stick with them, and once you stick with them, you probably don't want to go anywhere else. You have your routine, you got your show, you got your we're all creatures of habit, right? As much as we want to, preach about change and preach about, evolving and adapting, secretly it's easier said than done. We all want to, change and be open-minded and change up things, but I mean, the most comfortable thing that we could ever do in our life is do the same thing over and over and over again, every single day, something that we enjoy. Why? Because it's comfortable, and guess what, man? We love being comfortable. As much as, the world has changed over the years, human beings, we had to adapt to different survival techniques, different survival situations. But once we got smart enough to where we don't need to go south for the winter, we don't need to, build a fire every single night. All we got to do is go hit a button to warm up our house and we're cool. We don't got to go to different places, when one place gets raided. We don't have to go to, eat different animals because one of them has gone extinct. We don't have to, eat different foods because this crop doesn't grow in this area. We have gone from creatures of, adapting and survival instincts and, the strongest will survive, the smartest will survive, to, we'll just fucking advance so far in technology. That way we don't have to have as many problems and be as comfortable as possible. Because we are creatures of habit, and our brains have finally allowed us to build things that make it so we are comfortable 24/7. I don't know. We all preach we want change. We want to try to do new things, but at the end of the day, man, we just want to be comfy. We just want to be comfy and safe and with our bellies full of chow and just relaxing, So, I don't know. Speaking of podcasters, though, now we're moving from Miss Haley Welch to Shannon Sharpe, host of Club Shay Shay and the Nightcap. I like Shannon Sharpe. I think he's a funny-ass guy. I'll be honest, I thought that he was one of the driving factors, of Undisputed. At first, for me, it was Skip Bayless, but then after watching the show for years, while I still like Skip Bayless, I'm like, you know what? Shannon Sharpe is a real talent. He's just got that personality, that kind of like way of saying things, passion behind it, that kind of relates to me and a bunch of other people that enjoy and think that he's really good at what he does. whether it's sports or other things that he has opinions on. He is a representative of the opinion giver. And last week, Unc left on his Instagram live of him doing the hanky panky with his significant other, and I could not believe, first of all, that it was even, captured. Now, I've never gone on Instagram Live, but I would assume that it is, it has to, you have to like jump through a couple hoops to confirm that you are going live on Instagram. Now, I didn't see the entire clip, but I didn't need to, because I think that, going live on Instagram, is not as easy as it looks. Now, I think he said that it was something to do with like FaceTime, and he didn't know, and he thought he hung it up, but it was actually Instagram Live. And then we heard him do the hanky panky, and then he apologized. He also, did not say that he got hacked. He didn't say that it was, someone tried to sabotage him. He basically said that, yeah, it was an accident and I messed up. And as far as my knowledge goes, which is not very far, I don't think that ESPN has fired him. So it seems like he's all good to go. He's in the clear. He was able to get past this rough patch, this embarrassing patch, this very how could you say embarrassing, invasive, I guess you could say, privacy breaking patch in his life, where he's like, oh, I feel like I'm just being, my privacy has been invaded. But then again, like, you had an IG live going, what did you expect? But, he apologized. He didn't lie about it. He just came out with it in front of it. And, everyone was just like, yeah, man, that's fine. That's cool. It was a mistake. You move on. And you know what? I think that also because other people in this industry, like podcasts and talk shows, like I know that Stephen A. Smith kind of had fun with it. Other podcasters had fun with it. Like, so it was all in a way like a topic of conversation. And that whole thing just led to other channels and other podcasts and other talk shows and pundits to just get more and more views. So in a way, if you think about it, Shannon Sharpe's incident, Shannon Sharpe's exposure, and his embarrassing breach of privacy, in a way, brought more eyes to him and more eyes to people who were talking about him. So what you could say is, yeah, he messed up, but also he was a driving force of content viewership surrounding him and people who were talking about him. So if you're looking at it in terms of a business, this entire mishap, this entire privacy breach, this accident actually benefited in financials, viewership, and exposure. So, I guess if you're like me and you're looking at things at the more positive side than the negative, this actually boosts Shannon Sharpe and boosts everybody talking about Shannon Sharpe more than, making Shannon Sharpe look like a freak, And I mean, like, just like the way he kind of came out and faced it. I mean, it's just comedy gold. Like, Unc is I'm a grown man. I'm a healthy man. Unc is, it was beautiful. It was beautiful. It was beautiful content that only, somebody like Unc, who's as humble and is able to kind of spin it in a way where it doesn't seem as demonizing as it probably could have been viewed, and kind of spin it in a more fun way. It just kind of makes it more not as awkward and not as weird as the situation actually is. So, I mean, good on Unc for, having that outlook. Good on everybody who was like kind of having fun with it and, laughing at it at the same time. I'm pretty sure that Unc was like embarrassed in the moment, but then he probably saw his numbers and how much he was being conversed about and talked about, and his exposure just probably grew immensely because of this mistake. He's probably over it. He's probably like, yeah, I know I was left my shit on when I was, enjoying my life, being a grown-ass man, being a grown, healthy man, adult male, and, shit happens. But I think that he's probably much, much more happier that, it wasn't as bad as, one, not as bad as, it could have been, and two, the exposure and in the conversation that just his name alone was just trending for like a good ass maybe 2 days. Shannon Sharpe, Unc. It was just the best, Just the internet in its most joyful side that it could ever show. Because the internet could be so bad and so evil, but in this case, it was like one of the most fun times you could have had on the internet. And seeing not only people reacting to it, talking about it, laughing about it, and then just memes left and right. It was just fun, Let me move on to, actual business. Sports, that is. I want to talk a little bit about college football. Not about really the games in particular, but last week, I couldn't believe it actually, but news came out that the Pac-12 is being resurrected and is coming back, and it has added, so far, is going to be adding new schools to the conference. So Fresno State, Boise State, San Diego State, and Colorado State are all going to be joining the Pac-12. And in this new age of conference realignment, once UCLA, USC, Colorado, Oregon State, Washington, Washington State, Cal, and Stanford all left the Pac-12 last year. It is now being looked at and revamped to return to become a new powerhouse conference, top 5 conference, I guess you could say. I'm not the biggest college football fan, so forgive me if my terminology is a little bit off. But that's what's happening. That's been confirmed. Now, there are more reports that Stanford and Cal, who are now in the ACC, are trying to get back into the Pac-12. Now, I got a huge problem with this. Huge problem. You just left for the ACC. You just left. You turned your back on the Pac-12. You said, "Fuck this shit. I'm out of here." And you went to the East Coast and you said, "Hey, we'll play with you boys over in the East Coast because you're a respectable conference. We could use the competition, and we'll make the ACC bigger." Trying to compete with the Pac-10, or not the Pac, with the Big Ten and the SEC that have all gone stronger. And the Pac-12 has essentially been cannibalized. It's gone. It's roasted. It's toasted. It's over. It's Jover. And then we get the news of like, hey, we might want to join the Pac-12 again. Come back. I'm like, listen, you just left. This is me thinking right here. This is what I think. You have just left. You have to stick around at the ACC. You just can't come back. I understand that conference realignment is a new thing, and it's not just a new thing, but it's like for most of these schools that wanted the conference realignment, they were looking to make a permanent move because they wanted either the competition or they wanted to make it so they played these teams, these better teams more throughout the year, get more TV viewership and audience growth, and ultimately make more money, right? That was your commitment. That was your choice. You saw the business side of it, and you chose to go in the business direction to make it so you can get more money. Why do you think that Texas went to the SEC, right? Texas knows that they are a big name in the world of college football. They know that they are one of the biggest names in the sport in this country. However, they knew that they were not in the most prestige and quote-unquote watched conference, that being the SEC. So what did they say? We could get more money if we joined the Southeastern Conference, a la the SEC, and play those teams throughout the year and be in that mix and be in that conversation. Whether you think that the Texas or even Oklahoma are good enough to be a part of the SEC, that's still to be determined. Right now, Texas is looking like they are the real deal. Oklahoma, not as much, but hey, at least one of them is hitting while the other one is, kind of finding its way. I just feel like, they went to chase the money, and once you make that choice, at least with Texas and the SEC, you can't go back. Stanford and Cal going to the ACC was something that they just thought that, well, everyone else is leaving theirs, or everyone's gone and already made the deal going to the Big Ten, that being SC, UCLA, Oregon, and Oregon State, and Washington, that we got to make a move as well. We got to ditch the Pac-12 and go somewhere else. Well, we probably can't go to the Big Ten because they already absorbed so many of these other schools. Well, what about the ACC? Well, they have Clemson. We could play against Clemson and those boys over there. We'll go over there and see what it's like. And now there's rumors and talks that they want to move back to the Pac-12 with Fresno and Boise and Colorado. I don't think so. I really don't think so. I don't think that you are able to do that. I think that is just way too soon to move back to the conference that you had abandoned. And let's be honest, I don't think that the person who's in charge of the Pac-12 is going to want your ass back. If I'm being completely honest, I just don't think that it's going to make any sense. Nor would anyone who just flat out left like that, why would they even want you back? I guess, if it's going to bring back viewership, they'll probably be like, well, maybe we can work something out. Maybe it's not as much hard feelings as we thought it was. But if I'm being honest, guys, I don't see a world where I would be like, the Pac-12 people are just going to be like, yeah, come back. No hard feelings. Yeah, we'll take you back. But also as an audience and as fans and as viewers, like, I don't think we want to see that. If I'm being honest, I don't think that anybody wants to see that. It's just going to be too. I don't think I want to say confusing, but it's just like, weren't you just like, when did you just leave? Like, why are you back? It doesn't make any sense. It just doesn't make any sense. It's not like it's too confusing, like I said. It's just like, why are you back? Why is this being allowed? It would be like if, the Dallas Cowboys, or let's say what is it? Let's say like we'll go to the Dallas Cowboys. We'll go with the Dallas Cowboys. So say the Dallas Cowboys were like, you know what? We're in the NFC East, but we play in Texas. doesn't really make any sense that we, keep playing in the division with the Giants, the Eagles, and the Commanders, who are more on the East Coast, and we're all the way down here. And it doesn't really make sense, so we'll just join the NFC South. It kind of makes more sense regionally, just makes more sense. And we'll probably have better luck playing against those teams for that division. And y'all could get the Panthers, and then we'll call it even, because the Panthers are more on the East Coast than Dallas is, so we'll just make that switch. It's kind of like that, I just gave you two examples, one being regional, one being competition-wise. And then they're like, you know what? We made a mistake. We want to keep the Cowboys, Giants, Cowboys, Eagles, Cowboys, Commanders rivalries going. So, we'll come back. And then you can take Carolina again, and we'll just switch, like it was back in the old days. It just seems kind of weird. And especially because, you're looking at these two, these schools in Cal and Stanford who are, not just schools, but they're not. They're pretty much now like brands and businesses. You could straight up buy like merchandise of Stanford like athletics, and they're not just schools anymore. They're businesses. They're brands. It's just kind of weird seeing that. That they left the Pac-12 and all of a sudden they want to come back. Like you can't just do that. That just is. Then that's just gonna make it so, if schools aren't happy with where they're at, we want to realign again. Conference realignment is like a once in like an every like 20-year thing, because it seems like a huge, big changing process. Whereas if we're just gonna change because we want to, then like is there really any point in the change other than just because we want to, or because it's unfair, or it's too hard? I don't know, man. I don't see how any of this should be even allowed. Like, I think if you go to the ACC or you go to a different conference, you got to stay in that conference for so many years before you could try to, maybe change conferences. I just feel like that whole news of like, well, they left the Pac-12 and now they want to go back, was just so weird and kind of wimpy, in my opinion. I don't know. It didn't make any sense. Moving on, though. No more college ball. Now the NFL. Some week 2 recap, which we saw a lot this week. A lot of storylines, a lot of developing issues, a lot of, 0-2 teams that we did not expect, like the Ravens, the Bengals, 0-2, the 2-1 teams like the Steelers, and the 1-1 teams like the Falcons, the Eagles, Commanders, the Raiders are 1-1. While 0-2 teams, the Rams, I already said the Bengals and the Ravens too, but the Rams, my team being in there too, we can just start off right there. We don't have anybody right now playing. Puka Nacua is injured. Matthew Stafford isn't healthy. Cooper Kupp's gone. Offensive line's kind of been demolished. We just don't got no one right now. I was super optimistic about this year. Very, very, very excited. And now, I don't really see, a way where we can string in some games, make a run, before it's too late. Before we view this season as a lost cause and a lost season where we just kind of pack it up and just not even try. In the fear of injuring the players that we got, for an even longer time that they might be out if they were to get like a minor injury, trying to prevent major injuries, that to me is going to be, in these next couple weeks of the NFL, telling like, what's our plan? What are we going to do long term? Cooper's out, Puka's out, Stafford's not 100%. How are we going to manage all this stuff? That I don't know. Of course, me buying on that merchandise, I would love to have a winning team and a team that's competitive and a team that's in the hunt and looks good and I enjoy rooting for. But at the same time, I don't want my guys to get even more hurt than they already are, or maybe even getting re-injured. That's going to be the tough part of this season for me, at least as a Rams fan. New Orleans is 2-0, 2-1 actually. New Orleans Saints. They beat the Carolina Panthers, and now they beat the Dallas Cowboys, who are also 1-1. Who I think that after week 1. The way that the Cowboys beat the Rams, this is totally on Dallas's brand. They always play good in the beginning of the year, and then they just fall apart. It took them to week 2 for them to fall apart against a New Orleans Saints team that has been outperforming both the teams that they've already played, the Panthers and the Cowboys, outperforming them by a lot. Derek Carr is looking pretty good. I ain't gonna lie. Alvin Kamara looks pretty good. That offense looks really, really, really strong. Under Dennis Allen, of all people. One of the most boring and not exciting coaches in the league, It just doesn't seem like anything that you've ever heard before. You've never seen a team led by Dennis Allen play this well offensively, Crazy to even imagine that's even happening. Right? Not to mention, the Bucs as well. Tampa Bay looks really good as well. Not just Tampa Bay too, but even Arizona. They look good. Kyler Murray looked really good. Marvin Harrison Jr. arrived. Had a 3-touchdown game. I think it was 3. Even with, some teams that are not so good. The Giants are not very good. 0-2. But Malik Neighbors, we can say, is really, really good at receiver. He didn't get as much hype and as much, prophecy and legacy and expectations as Marvin Harrison Jr., but you can definitely see that this guy is going to be a really, really good receiver and could probably be even better than he is now if he has a better quarterback than Daniel Jones. Even though that New England lost, they don't look like they're going to be a terrible team. Seattle is better than I thought that they would be, for sure. San Diego being 2-0, Los Angeles Chargers, looking better. Even with a new coach in Jim Harbaugh and being 2-0 as a new head coach. I know he's been in the NFL in the past, but that was a different team. This is it now. And some of the worst teams in the league, are at the bottom and kind of expected, right? Like the Panthers. The Panthers are the worst team in the NFL. In fact, they're so bad they benched Bryce Young, who was the number 1 pick 2 years ago. And I remember being like, Bryce Young is really good. He's a really good quarterback. He lit it up in college, really good at Alabama. I know he was short, but so was Drew Brees, and so was Russell Wilson, and so was Kyler Murray, right? They were all shorter quarterbacks. But for some reason in Carolina, none of it is working out. None of it seems good at all. It all seems like a big, giant mess that no one's on the same page and no one can get anything done. A new head coach, I thought it would be like a rejuvenation, restart, refresh. Seems like it was even just hasn't improved at all. So bad to where Bryce Young was benched in favor of Andy Dalton. Wild. Number 1 drafted quarterback benched for Andy Dalton after week 2 in the NFL in his second season. The poor guy. I said this on last week's episode. I feel so bad for Bryce Young. I feel terrible for this guy. This kid is just seems like he's getting no help. Seems like the team doesn't really know how to use him, or isn't using him to his best abilities, isn't developing him, isn't showing him. And the way he's playing out there seems like he doesn't even know what he's doing, or he just can't do what they're asking for him to do. And what is that going to do? Just going to diminish his confidence, ultimately breaking him and him becoming a bust. If this continues, if let's say he comes back after a couple weeks, Andy Dalton can't really do it either, right? They go back to Bryce Young, and he still stinks up the joint and plays really bad. Do you just have to kind of suck it up and be like, you know what? We drafted a bust. We have a bust in our hands, and we have to figure out what we're going to do with this guy. And we also paid him a ton of money. It's just insane. Think about, you kind of see it with him too, just his facial expressions, and his presence, he just seems defeated and just, broken, a bust. I if I was Bryce Young, I would not know what to do in this situation. I would almost feel super helpless, and I wouldn't know what to do. I feel bad for the guy. I truly, truly do. And seeing his face and seeing how sad he looks on those sidelines, and even just talking to the media, this poor guy, it's just terrible. And him getting benched too as the number 1 overall pick 2 years ago, you kind of can't really help but say, yeah, he might be a bust. In which we don't want to see busts. We don't want to see players not be good. We don't want to see a number 1 draft pick not be good. We want to see them good. But unfortunately, it doesn't seem like he's in the situation where he's allowed to be good. And it's just sad to see. It really is. All right, that's going to be it for me today, people. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. Remember, you can find this podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube at Intelligent Moron with Alex Silva. New episodes drop every Thursday morning. Make sure to like, subscribe, rate, review, and do all that good stuff. And yes, thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. And I will see you guys next week.